I have a correction for you from a prior episode. I talk about Tom Brokaw and him misremembering taking bullets or shots, maybe perhaps hit by an RPG while in a helicopter. And this was during the 2003 Iraq invasion. It was not Tom Brokaw. It was Brian Williams. And according to this news report, in 2015, NBC anchor Brian Williams apologized for falsely claiming he was aboard a Chinook helicopter hit by an RPG during the 2003 Iraq invasion. He admitted he was actually in a following aircraft, admitting he misremembered and bungled his story, which he had embellished over 12 years. And there was an interesting article from Malcolm Gladwell, and he talked about misremembering. And are people truly intentionally bungling and embellishing stories, or is their memory warping over time? Think about it for yourself. Remember those stories from when you were a kid, those things that happened to you, things you love doing, those fun moments, those things you'll never forget. Are you remembering them correctly? Maybe not, according to Malcolm Gladwell. But I surely did. It wasn't Tom Brokaw. It was Brian Williams. All right, back to our show.
Welcome back to the Don't Write That Book podcast, where you can learn how to write your bestseller and own your authorship. Follow along with us as we give you an insider's view of the book industry. Now, here are your hosts, myself, Mike Michalowicz, and AJ Harper.
I'm going to start off our episode by doing a shot. You ever do these things?
No.
So can you see that?
Yep, it's a ginger shot.
Yeah, it's a no-joke ginger. It's from Trader Joe's. So here we go. I do these pretty much every day, every morning. I love them.
Why? What is it doing for you?
I don't know if it does anything. I just love the flavor. So supposedly ginger's good for your GI. I don't know, but it tastes amazing. I love the spice. It's my favorite spice of all is ginger. So I have my other ginger, which is my Hawaiian ginger drink. So I do a shot and then I sip on this. I like ginger tea also. So there you go.
My wife loves ginger. I don't like it at all. Zero.
Oh, I absolutely love it. Do you want to hear? Are you ready for the story? Do you have your seatbelt on?
About the jet ski?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
So a couple nights ago, I have a dream. I wake up laughing. You and I in this dream are at Madeline Island, and you're like, "Hey, you want to check out some of the houses and stuff? I'll take you for a quick ride around." And so in my mind, I'm like, "We're gonna hop in your car," and instead of walking out the back to your parking area in your garage, you walk out the front. You know, that gorgeous view of the lake.
Yeah.
The steps down, and there's a jet ski. And you and I have bathing suits on, and you are driving. I wrap my arms around your waist, and you fire this thing up, and we cruise over to another property. We walk up on it's a steep cliff, and we're checking out this house, and you're like, we talk about the house and stuff. You're like, all right, time to go back. And we're jet skiing around Madeline Island at the end. And, well, actually for the entire dream. And then we come back to your home and you walk back into your house. I'm sitting there on the jet ski saying, this was the most amazing jet skiing in my life. So
I would do something like that.
That would be awesome. That'd be awesome. But just the visual of is like a motorcycle, but a jet ski. You're driving. You got a helmet on. I'm behind you, holding on. Oh, it was just so funny.
You know, back in the day, I spent a lot of time on either usually being pulled. Like yeah,
like a tube.
Different things. There for a time there was this yellow banana type thing.
Oh, I love
Have you been on
that.
it?
Yes.
Do they even still have it? I don't know. I'm sure it's evolved, but you and you just hang on for dear life. And I'm telling you, I spent hours and hours and hours hanging on to that yellow banana.
Oh,
around lakes. Best fun. So much fun.
that's amazing. I love that because it's such a communal thing. There's like 4 or 5 people on the banana and you hit a wave, but the person in front of you goes up and then the
By
second.
yourself. So, but at any rate, you have to have courage to get on it, and especially if your friends are a little too fast, which mine were.
Oh, well, of course. Yeah. The driver's got to be safe. I had an incident on a tube, ironically, with the safest person on the planet, Michael Port, pulling me in his boat. So we went on he used to have that yacht and he had a boat that was connected to her or whatever. And on that, it was a speedboat. He had a tube behind it. And we're going around a corner and, he is the king of safety, the nicest dude.
Yeah.
So he's got like 2 spotters. He's got like 16 of those orange flags flapping around. And he even has this between the rope and the tube I'm being pulled on. He's got this big floating ball that keeps the rope above the water at all times. So I can't pull you down. He goes around a turn. It swings me wide. I came within 5 feet of hitting a buoy in the middle of the Chesapeake Bay. And you just see him go white, cut the boat. He's like, okay, we're done for today. Yeah, I was fine. Nothing happened. But of all people, I'm so sad that he was the guy who had to turn white over that.
I know. I wanna get him to come up to the island because they have Keith doesn't have his boat anymore, but you can do a fishing charter out there into deeper water, but you can also do, they have so many sailboats up there. They have so many great boats that you can just rent and this great yacht club. So I'm going to work on him.
Yeah. To bait him into that, you have to have a kitchen for him to be baking. I don't know if he could leave that.
I was just over there and had some cheesecake, which how he sliced it. So we're just having this great morning and we're chatting, Michael and Amy and I.
When was this? Like recently?
Yeah. And he said, do you want some cheesecake? I said, yeah, of course, if you're making it. And he brought it out, and then he brought out a giant knife, and then he brought out a blowtorch. And
he did not the knife?
Yes.
He is brilliant.
I was just like, okay. It's so Michael. And he's just like casually heating up the knife with the blowtorch at the dining room table. He said, I need a perfect cut. That's Michael.
I want to get Michael and Amy on the podcast Becoming Self-Made. So if any of our listeners are interested in seeing how entrepreneurial journeys and author journeys play out over time and the struggles people get stuck in, even when you see the successes they've had, that's what the show's about. And I would just love to interview them about kind of reinvention and the new chapter. And last time I saw Michael and Amy, I know Amy listens to the show too. Amy's going through a discovery process, and Michael's found something. But Michael also shared when I was over there last that I said, "What's going on with the boat?" And he's like, that chapter's done." That was not his words, but he's like, "I did everything." He's like, "I'm satisfied with that. I don't foresee me getting another boat. Now it's baking." It's this really, at least how I interpret it, this really cool chapter to chapter to chapter guy.
Yeah.
Total reinvention. So admirable.
I hope as you do it that you also talk about how they started the company, because it's really born this, obviously they're remarkable individuals with vast expertise that they brought to the table and passion for what they do. It's really born of their love for each other. And
yeah.
So I hope that you would talk about that part, because to me, heroic is a love story.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good.
That's how I
so I'll see.
Anyway.
We just booked season 2 for Becoming Self-Made.
Can you tease who's on it?
Yeah, a business called 1802 Beekman, or maybe 1827.
Goat guys. We talked about them last time. Yeah. When is
powerful
that
story?
Happening? When are you interviewing them?
We're waiting now till May because I'm going to be on the goat farm milking goats.
Yeah. Well, if you're open to it, I would love to go just watch.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, it's a full day. I'm totally open for it. It's a full day. There is, oh God, some businesses out in California. I can't recall. So this show, AJ, is getting so real. They have a booking agent that they brought on. We may do Jimmy's Cookies in New Jersey. I'm trying to get them on. It's $100 million cookie plant, and the guy who runs it is an early investor in one of my businesses, and just a great friend. And he's in his final chapter as an entrepreneur. Like, he's going to retire out after this. He may see this through to his final day, but this is his last business, and it's his greatest success. Guarantee you've had a Jimmy's cookie and don't even know because they white label. Jimmy's is the name of the company, but if you've bought anything at King's Supermarket or a Walmart, or if you've been on American Airlines and you've had a cookie, it's been a Jimmy's cookie.
I bet you're having a total blast.
It is so much fun. It's like dirty jobs almost. Going on site and touring these places. So let's get into the content today. We're going to talk about what's the ROI of writing a book. And I'm joined in virtual studio with AJ Harper. She is the author of Write a Must Read. I'll tell you, if you don't have that book, like, what's going on? Get that book. AJ, what I love, and I shared this before, is you're working on 2 new books right now, and you have the power to keep secrets secret, which is admirable because I don't have that power, and I don't know many people that do. Like, I've heard people come to me and say, "Hey, don't tell anyone about this," and I have this thirst to tell someone, and I struggle with it. And I've seen that same person say, "I'm only telling you," and they've told like 20 people within minutes of that. You have the ability to keep a secret, and that is extremely admirable because that is the definition of trust. So you're one of the most trustworthy people I know.
Oh, thank you. I'm actually super chill about it when I hear a secret. Like you just said, oh, you feel this burning need to tell someone. I feel none of that. I just get on with my day. Just get on with my day. Yes. Maybe it's all those years of ghostwriting that trained me into that.
When the thing I do, because I know my weakness, like when someone's like, I got a secret for you, I say, wait. I'm like, I prefer you don't tell me. If you want no one to know about this, I shouldn't be the person. And I've done it to my wife, and she's been frustrated a couple times when I'm like, I think you shouldn't tell me.
Well, what about like spousal privilege? There's that spousal privilege where the spouse is going to find out.
Totally. I just don't want to compromise my wife. Like, I don't want her to tell me something and then I accidentally, because it's on the tip of my mind, like accidentally say, oh yeah, you wouldn't believe. Oh, and I forget. Then I've compromised her. So for me, it's a safer not to know.
Okay. All
right.
I'm going to remember that about you though, just so you know. If I want to say something to you, I'm just probably not going to tell you.
Yeah. Keep it.
Going to keep it.
And it won't hurt my feelings. Like, that's the funny thing.
Anyway, you love a reveal. You love anticipating those things.
I do.
You like a good surprise.
That's why I'm excited about your new books. Like, I'm excited that I don't know about them. I can't wait till it comes out. And I don't feel that it's like a loss of privilege that I don't know. Like, I don't need to know first. I can't wait to know. I'm so excited for you.
That's exciting. Yes. Well, I definitely, I think the thing I admire about you is that you are so interested in the success of other people. Like when you're talking about this, God, I'm sorry. What's it called again? So self-made.
Becoming Self-Made, the podcast. Yeah. Becoming Self-Made. Yeah.
I think I told you before, I think this is the thing, this podcast that you're doing now.
Yeah, you did.
So I really think I've only seen a few little clips. And to me, it just looked like you were in your element. Like, this is just it. This is the thing.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
I love how you're just, you wouldn't care if it was these multi-million-dollar people you're interviewing who have the, products, the GOAT products, the Beekman, right?
Beekman, yeah.
Beekman, yeah. And they have a huge book. And you wouldn't care if it was just somebody that nobody's ever heard of that became super successful in the middle of nowhere. And you would have such a gas just getting there, meeting them, talking to them. It's so fascinating to you. And you want to tell everyone about it and you want to
Yeah.
celebrate them. And I just love that about you. I think you should lean into that whenever you can, that energy.
Yeah. Yeah, I only have a certain degree of influence over the show because it's the sponsor. It's important to them, but I do love that, and I'm trying to influence that. The undiscovered stories of becoming self-made, the peculiar stories.
Yeah.
So let's get into the topic. We're talking about what's the ROI of writing a book, and is this something you get asked often? Like, why did this subject come up?
Well, someone asked this of me the other day. They were trying to decide if they wanted to come to a retreat or not. And one of the questions was, well, what's the ROI of writing a book? And to me, okay, it's a fair question. And you're investing a considerable amount of time. And if you're in some industries, like if you're moving into thought leadership, it's likely you're going to also invest money. So you might invest money in, say, working with someone like me. If you don't invest money in working with someone like me, perhaps you're going to end up investing in a hybrid or self-publishing, or even if you do none of those things, you might end up investing in a publicist or a marketing coordinator or ads for your books. There's just, money's a factor. So I guess the question is fair on paper, but to me, it's actually a red flag. When someone says to me, what's the ROI of writing a book? It's a red flag because I think you're asking the wrong question because you're trying to decide, is it worth it that I write this book? And if you're trying to decide, is it worth it? You should be doing something else.
Okay. That's a ballsy statement. Yes. Are you saying this has to be a calling? Like that's how I'm translating it instantly.
No, I just think that first of all, when you say, what's the ROI on writing a book? You're focused on for most people, they're focused on, quote unquote, I want to make my money back.
Okay. So you're seeing this transactional, not transformational. That's how I define it.
Exactly. And not of service. Because first of all, as you know, when you write a book, the ripple effects, the payoff, first of all, is there's so many tentacles to it. You couldn't even necessarily add it all up, all the ways it benefits you. But also, it's a long game. So it might not, if you need to, quote unquote, see the ROI within 6 months or a year, then you're being very short-sighted. But there's another factor, which is, I think if you're asking what's the ROI in doing this, that you don't really trust it. It's like you need some sort of affirmation or reassurance that it's worth doing. It's worth doing because you got the idea.
Okay. Counterpoint is if I go into a business venture, I do ask about the viability of myself. I mean, there's definitely does my heart call out to do this, but there's also, is this viable?
Yeah, but you make it viable.
That's true.
You make it viable. So the person who asked me this question, lovely person, I said, well, here's what my answer was, it depends. What's the ROI? Because my question then for that person was, first of all, what do you want? But secondly, what are you willing to contribute? It's not like you write the book and then the ROI appears. It's all relative. There's a trade-off. The life you have, Mike, there's a trade-off. You have a team. You have invest considerable hours. There's a lot that goes into that. So I can't answer the ROI until I find out what you're actually looking for. Are you just trying to make the money back that you invested in taking a class or hiring an editor or paying for a hybrid or hiring a publicist? Okay, figure that out. Are you willing to do the work to get that money back? Okay, then you absolutely can. But when you say viability, I'm more concerned about, have you tested your intellectual property? That's viability. Do you, I don't think you can look at a book in the same way you would look at a business venture, because I think you can look at the way you approach selling it as viability, but not, I don't know. I almost think there's almost any way to write a book so that it's viable. That's my bias.
Yeah, and I think you're talking exclusively the financial component. You know, the definition of return on investment, the return part has to be made too. And it's funny, I've talked to authors say, I am really committed to changing the world. I want to put a dent in the universe versus I want to sell some products versus I want to be known or recognized, or this is a pathway to fame. And all of them, listen, whatever speaks to you, speaks to you.
It could also be simple things like I would like to raise my speaking fees. I would like to grow my business with lead gen. Those are all returns. They're not the returns I think too much about. Just because I feel like there's the ultimate return which I can talk about later, which probably won't be too surprising to people, but the real deal is people sometimes think the book itself is going to give you the ROI, and you first have to consider the goal you have, the return you want, but also the trade-off. The trade-off is the other piece. It's not just writing the book and investing in that. It's what kind of work are you willing to do to sustain it? Because the book itself isn't going to give you the ROI just sitting there.
So when an author works with you, they do the top 3 book workshop, they come to one of your retreats. Do you have a discussion around what those objectives are with the book? Like, are you trying to increase your speaking fees? And if so, does that then influence how a book is structured?
That's a great question. I do talk to people about it. I think you have to have some sense, at least with prescriptive nonfiction and sometimes with teaching memoir, that you really do need to think, what's going to be my business model around this? What do I want to do? Sometimes the answer is nothing, and that's okay. I think sometimes authors can't really wrap their head around that while they're writing the book, but it does influence the book. For example, if you were going to plant seeds for that thing that you're calling forward to you, you would need to know what it is so that you could plant seeds. With Profit First, do you remember this? I don't know if you remember me telling you this. I said, what do you want to bring to you next? And at the time, you were doing speaking engagements, but you weren't getting paid much, or if at all. And you really wanted to improve that. And so I said, tell me a story that relates to Profit First that happened at one of your speaking events. And that's how we got that's how we got Debbie Horowitz story, which is in the introduction of Profit First.
I do recall that, yeah.
I asked you that specifically because we were calling forward more speaking for you. We wanted to show you as a speaker. So we wanted a true story, not fabricated, of someone having a realization, having a moment before or after your speech or during your speech, and you remembered it and we wrote it and it worked. But that's because at the time, that's what you wanted to call forward. And every book I've asked you that. Now we're at a point where it's less relevant because you have established yourself. But I do always ask you, how are you going to work with these readers? What are you going to do?
100%.
Yeah. And so you do have to give it some consideration. I'd say a lot of people don't know the answer to that right off the bat. It's a process.
Okay. But so you at least define the objectives. You mentioned how hard are you willing to work for this? What do you mean around the work behind that? This is the investment. So we talked about the return. Now I'm talking about the investment, return of investment on investment.
I remember how I said it's a red flag. It's because I think some people are confused about what authorship is. I'm going to do this. It's like, is this car worth the money? Is this house worth the money? Is this, right? Is this, is this advertising going to get me where I want to go? But that tells me you aren't aware of what's about to go down. Like you're not aware of what's about to go down because writing a book is so personally transformational, and it's one of the most confronting things you can do. So if you're willing to confront and handle the trade-off, then honestly, I think the ROI is sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. So
tell me about the confrontations though. I'm like, what are we going to face that we got to consider?
Okay, you have to learn how to write a book while you're
it's monstrously hard.
Number one, and you're going to learn it while you're doing it. And most people forget this. Like they have these expectations of being better than the first draft can ever be, for example, or having the process be easier. But actually, it's really difficult because you are learning long form writing. And you're learning how to write something that people are going to consume and follow and take action on. And that is, I don't know why people think that should be simple. I don't know why people think that should be easy if you're learning it for the first time. So are you willing to learn new skills, and not just skills about writing and editing and so forth, but are you willing to learn how to navigate the publishing industry, which is like going to Mars? Are you willing to learn some new skills to help you market the book and talk about the book? So there's new skills. Are you willing to be uncomfortable? It's very confronting to take ideas that you have, figure out how to make them simple for others. That's its own process. And then share your own stories about yourself, and then stand on those ideas and stories and put them out into the world for people to judge them.
Yeah.
It's super, super uncomfortable. And when you go to market, forget about it. Most authors aren't marketing because they're uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I find the public presentation of it is so critically important now. And I think that comes out before the book is ever ready, is that you got to be out there presenting on it to see what lands with audiences or not. You will get critical feedback, either from people just walking out, not listening. I've been on stages where people are sitting on their phone, looking at their phone, and I'm like, I am failing right now. And you have to be willing to put yourself out there, at least in maybe this isn't true in the fiction space, but in the prescriptive space, it absolutely is.
No, it's true in all literary spaces. You can definitely correlate the success of an author based on how willing they are to be out there. And most people are nervous about it. They feel like they're too much. They feel like they don't want to talk about themselves. They feel the ick because they think it's salesy. They aren't sure how to do it. And being uncomfortable and facing your fears around all of that, that's part of the trade-off. So are just some basic stuff like working long hours. It's not, it's a lot of work, especially.
Have you seen authors give up?
Every day, all day, authors
give up. Is there common reasons for the give up?
Yeah, of course. They give up because they don't trust themselves and their ideas. And they give up because they they don't trust themselves and their ideas is most of it. Sometimes life legit gets in the way. So, they prioritize something else. But I think ultimately that lack of trust in themselves and their own ideas, they will look for evidence that supports that in everywhere. So if it doesn't feel good, if it feels hard, if they're rejected initially, if they don't get the sales they want, if they don't get the yeses they want, if they don't get the visibility they want kind of right out of the gate, that then becomes evidence. All those things, every stage on the journey. I actually have this term I've been using, and I've been trying to explain this to people, called the quit continuum. And it's where authors quit. And it's...
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So most of them will quit pretty early when they're just trying to get a first draft done. It's overwhelming, that whole process. And there is a disbelief that they're allowed to be sucky at it, So you and I know that first draft, whatever. It's just words on, and now we have something to work with. Now we're going to, but they just don't believe that. So no matter how many times you tell them, no matter how many times you talk about the SFD, maybe they can bleep this out. And Lamont's calls it the shitty first draft. We can call it the SFD. I call it the super rough draft, trying to be nice to my mom and not curse. But most people don't actually believe that that's a thing. They say, oh yeah, that frees me up. But then when they look at their stuff in their mind, they're thinking, this bad? I don't think so. So in the quit continuum, people quit pretty early because you have to get a lot of courage to try and make something from nothing. So, and a lot of people don't have community. They don't have support. They think writers are supposed to just go off to their caves or their cabins or their hotel rooms and write this stuff. But actually, the authors I work with in my community, they're together, so they're able to bolster themselves and each other by being close to each other. But most people are alone. And so they trash it. They say, never mind. I'm going to put this off. What was I thinking? I shouldn't have done that. I don't know what I'm doing. But then people quit. The second time people quit is when they're trying to get some sort of publishing deal. I don't know. They think, a few rejections is a sign, but it might,
right. Oh gosh, I hate that.
But it might be, and sometimes there are a lot of rejections, and you do need to set the project aside for a moment. But it doesn't mean you need to quit authorship. It just might not be the right time for that project. But I'll tell you where most people quit is when the book is out.
Isn't that the ultimate anticlimactic, sad truth?
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to make a bold statement. It's like 90, 95%.
I wonder how many great books are out there that just shamefully were not marketed greatly and will never be discovered.
Thousands and thousands. I've written some of them. I've written some of them. I've also helped authors with some of them, and they are languishing on shelves.
There's an extraordinary book out there that may have even been marketed extraordinarily, but it never got the traction it deserved, which is David Tierman's book, World Famous. I read that book. I'm like, this is gold. I think this is one of the top 3 marketing books of all time.
Such a good book.
And I don't know if I'm not suggesting by any stretch that David gave up on it, because I know he believes in it, but it never got the traction it deserved. And it just has me thinking how many extraordinary books are not discovered. And what a shame, because the world believes that a mediocre, well-marketed marketing book is the source when a great marketing book exists that they can't discover. And you're right. Authors give up. I'm not saying David did, but authors give up the day the book launches and said, well, now it's on its own.
Or I usually see it within a year.
Yeah.
It starts to peter out, and then they're kind of mentioning it once in a while, but hardly ever. So, but I think that's due to all these things, this trade-off, right? Are you willing to feel uncomfortable? Are you willing to ask for help? That's a big one. That's, we've talked extensively, especially in the last few episodes, about what you had to ask for in the launch for The Money Habit. You had to reach out, ask people for support, ask for people to be on your 12-hour launch day, help promote the book in other ways. So are you willing to do that? That's one of the other confronting things. Are you willing to play the long game? Authorship is not about, I want my book out this year. Authorship is I always tell authors, let's plan for 5 years. And then when we get to the end of the 5 years, we're going to re-up for another 5.
Yeah. I love it.
And so when you say, what's the ROI of writing a book? To me, it's a red flag, because I know you aren't thinking
that way.
Right. And if you're willing to confront fears, being uncomfortable, learn new things, push yourself to ask for support, get outside of the norm. If you're willing to stay the course, if you're willing to do whatever it takes, then you don't even need to ask that question, what's the ROI? The ROI will be massive. But it's not going to happen just from writing the book.
Some people do question the numbers, and I think that's still very valuable. So if someone makes an investment of X number of dollars, they want or need a return on that money, and you do need to make money to sustain the sales of the book because you're going to have to get printed and so forth. It depends on your platform. Do we want to talk numbers at all? Is that a consideration?
That's what they're really asking when they ask me that question. It's just that to get so let's do like a case study. Let's say you spent let me be transparent. So if you were going to come to my workshop, let's do the person who was asking about retreat. So this person was asking about retreat. If you're not in my community gets a deep discount. But let's say you're not in my community, you're going to fork over about $12,000 to come to a week-long editing retreat. And if you're in my community, it's about $8,000. Okay, so let's say that she joined the community. So then that's $8,000. And then let's say that you got your travel expenses. So maybe you're spending about $10,000 to come do this editing retreat.
Yeah.
It's not going to be your only expense, but let's say it is. Let's say that's all you end up spending. Can you earn $10,000 back from a book? Sure. So if it's just royalties we're talking about, it's going to be $2 maybe a book, unless you go hybrid or self-published, in which case you can double or triple that because you don't,
And my experience is a little bit higher, but not $2 a book on traditional, about $3.50.
Okay. So I'm being super conservative because that's how I am. Okay. So we'll say $3.
Okay.
But it would have been easier if you would have consented to 2 because we have 10,000 and 2, and I can do that math.
Well, no, leave it at 2. Leave it at 2 because that's true for some people too. It depends what you negotiate. Depends on your retail price. So let's go with 2. That's fine.
And if you're fiction and you're mass market, your percentages are lower. Everything's lower. So so we'll do $2. Now you've got to sell 5,000 books. So how are you going to sell 5,000 books? That's actually a lot of books. Most people don't sell. What is the percentage? I don't know what the latest one is, but I think it's something like less than 5% of authors sell more than 2,000 books over its lifetime.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I'd be surprised even if it's that high.
I think it might be like 3 or 4, but at any rate, so it's not a small feat. Can you sell 5,000 books? Yes, anybody can sell 5,000 books. Anybody, but again, long game. Be confronting yourself, uncomfortable, asking for help, facing rejection, long hours. That's what I'm saying is you can't just say, am I going to be able to sell that, get the ROI? Yes. The answer is yes. But you are going to have to do stuff to make that happen. Now, you could easily get that 10,000 from some other place. What I told the person who asked me the question, I said, are you going to do some consulting, teaching, speaking, client work, a course? Because you could make that $10,000 then shortly, actually. It could be one speech. It could be a couple speeches. It could be, if you're not getting paid a lot right now for speeches, maybe it's 10 speeches. Yeah. If it's consulting, it could be one consulting gig. Maybe you're going to do client work. Maybe, how many hours do you get to 10,000? Just figure it out. But again, that's still going to require something of you. I will say it requires less of you than trying to get the money back just from book sales. So it does require less of you to try and do it through, say, a consulting gig or a class or something, as long as you're already known in that area.
Yeah.
Because when
interesting.
When I did my, I have earned the investment I made because I did go with page 2 for mine. I earned back the investment with just in royalties. I've earned that back, just even in royalties. But I earned it back in other revenue, meaning people who found my book on a shelf at Barnes & Noble, found me, and signed up for my workshop. So within probably six months or less of my book being out, I had earned my entire investment back. But I also, if you take that out of the equation and we just look at book sales, I have earned it back just from book sales as well.
I think what's interesting for me is when considering ROI, and we do look at the numbers aggressively. We created this dashboard over the weekend, an updated dashboard to track books at an even higher level. So I can give you some interesting insights. And when does a book become fiscally independent is one of our questions. And what I mean by this is it becomes a self-sustaining book. It generates more money than it costs to continue to market the book. And that's when I think the flywheel's taken over. That the book can be a source of income too for the author. And I guess it depends on the author themselves, but whatever you define as your own financial independence, could you stop all of your personal activity and the book is carrying you forward too, meaning it's covering your lifestyle? That's a measurement that's a goal we're trying to achieve with every one of the books. Does it just support itself, and does it then support an income source? I don't know what the magic number is for folks, but Profit First has absolutely achieved that. What's interesting is we went through a ranking of our books. The number 2 book that's in correlation, that's The Pumpkin Plan. Pumpkin Plan sold over 100,000 units. Clockwork is number 3, sold over 100,000 units. There's 2 versions, original and revised and expanded, collectively over 100,000. Fix This Next, Get Different, and All In are sub 100,000 currently. Get Different being at 31,600 units. Fix This Next is at 53,000 units. And All In is currently at 25,000 units sold. There's this sense we have is when a book hits 100,000, and this is just our number, so I gotta be very careful. This is not a magic number, but when it hits 100,000, it seems to achieve self-sustaining independence and generate a revenue source for us that's of significance. So for whatever that's worth. Do you see authors, AJ, that are only doing the book component, that they're not doing speaking or other products, or does everyone see books as at the top of the funnel type thing?
No, I think there are definitely people who don't want to do that work. Yeah. It's less so in thought leadership for sure, but there aren't that many memoir artists, for example, that want to do more than write memoirs.
Yeah.
So, there's some people who are writing a book because that's all they care about, or they have a legacy, or, so if they do any speaking related to it, it's not to be a speaker. It's to support the book. Right? So whatever the speaking they're doing, the webinars they're doing, all that is really just to support the book. It's not the other way around.
I want to go into our individual ROI, but first, before we do that, you are this is my definition, the authority, bar none, on the journey of authorship and supporting authors through the creation of their own books. You bring books to life. You've birthed more books or been a doula. You're like a book doula. For our listeners, what is the best way to get started with you if they've never experienced AJ Harper before?
Oh, it's so easy. I have a writing sprint community, and you can go to ajharper.com. It's there's a monthly fee, but there's also a button right next to the monthly fee that says pay what you can. And I don't care what the number is, and I don't look at what the number is. I just want it to be an easy thing for you. And we have some people think I'm a little bonkers with this, but we have a writing sprint for an hour on twice a day, Monday through Friday. That means there's 10 hours every week of writing sprints in our community. And I'm pretty much always in the Friday sprints. So it's comical to me because people don't realize they could just go sign up for any amount and hang with me on a Friday.
I love it.
So it's the easiest way is to just go sign up for that. You'll get kind of an idea of what my community is like.
I've been a long time participant in the early part of the sprints, like the early morning sprints. Been on a sabbatical from that for a while now. I do intend to come back at a certain point. Right now, I'm so what?
Still going.
It's still going. I'm so all in on the marketing of The Money Habit. That's where my energy is. Go to ajharper.com. Also, if you haven't read Write a Must Read, get it. If you have read it, you know how powerful it is. I want to give you the biggest challenge on the planet. Get another copy and gift it to an aspiring author, maybe someone in your family. So, AJ, before we wrap up, I want to go through our ROI. I also have a surprise marketing tip. I promised it last week. I want to bring that up. But let's go through the ROI. So what are things you've seen? And maybe we can go through our kind of measurement on each. The first category is codified IP. What have you seen for yourself and maybe for your fellow authors? And I'll share what I've seen.
I think it's one of the most important ROI components because the process of writing a book requires you to codify your IP.
Exactly.
And in doing so, simplify it so that most people can understand it and act on it. And when you're in your own little world, it's much easier for you to deal with questions and explanations, and you might not realize that your intellectual property is not presentable to the masses. And when you go through the process of writing a book, you've got to get that all down, and you have to make it understandable, simple, easy to act on, and also shareable. And that is a process. So even if that's all you end up getting out of the process, it's worth it.
I think it's ironic that so many people are afraid, not so many, but some people are afraid to put things in the book because they're putting their IP out there, something that they've built and they want to protect. And I think there's an irony that when you make it, quote, public through your book, you're actually protecting it too. It's copyrighted material.
Yes.
And it's attributable to you.
Yes. And
go
ahead. Sorry.
Well, I'm saying if you look, yeah, well then go, Miss Excitement. You're probably saying, oh, now you're drinking. So if you look at published scientific documents, it gets attributed to the author once it's published. And can you imagine a scientist discover something saying, well, I'm not going to tell anyone about this. This is my secret. No, you publish it so you get credit. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
I'm thinking about some of my students and that are working on books right now. Like actually one of them is Scott Todd. He's one of your simplified authors.
He's awesome, that guy.
So he's part of my community. He comes to Live Edit on Thursdays. So I'm seeing that book probably before you are. And he's working on that intellectual property, and it's through how can I make this simpler? How can I make this easier? How can I help readers really get this when I understand it, but I need to communicate it better? And if he didn't have the book, he just wouldn't get done in that way. And there's also another ROI or new skills that no one can take away from you. When you're learning to write a book, you have to acquire new skills.
Yeah.
They don't disappear when the book comes out. You still have them. Writing the next book is easier. I hear from my students all the time that the messaging work or the other work they do with me on the book carried over into their business. So the way they talk about their offers, the way they market themselves, their own messaging, the way they think differently about who they serve. So it carried over the insights and skills they keep forever.
What I notice is there's a transition from, at least for me, from utilizing an idea like the money habit, something Krista and I have used for almost 20 years now, to sharing it. And so the whole shift comes, for me, has been from this is something just for me to this is something for the world. And my duty has shifted with it. So going back kind of to the codified IP, there's also a shift of identity for me from exclusive to me for my benefit alone to contribution to society.
I think also there's this is one of those if you know things, but it's also for personal growth.
100%.
Right? So that discomfort we talked about earlier, pushing past that, facing the blank page, facing being stuck, all of that confrontation, it requires you to grow as a person, and that's massive ROI. But how do you know until you do it?
Yeah, my ultimate therapy for recovering from the depression I experienced when I lost all of our money was writing it, documenting it, journaling about it. But when that story of Adela and the piggy bank, when that became public, it was the ultimate final relief of that depression. I still am regretful of that experience, but now I actually have a gratefulness of what it did to serve me. And because I've become so public about it, it doesn't own me anymore. I own that circumstance. It's also built new communities.
Yeah. Another ROI that you can't even measure is the people you meet, the relationships you build, the communities you become part of or that you create. It just, honestly, it's so transformational, that process, which again requires you to talk to people, ask questions, ask for help, but your world opens up in myriad ways.
We Chris and I got stuck. We were returning from Salt Lake City, where my son moved to, and there was this major storm that came through the Northeast just about a week ago. All flights canceled, and we had to get back to the house to care for our dog. Our sitter her time was up, and we had to come back for some work responsibilities. I reached out to the author community of Built and said, hey, any chance anyone knows how to get from DC to New Jersey when there's no cars available? And someone's like, we have a private limousine service that you can call on. I had to pay for the fee, but they just made the connection and it was done. So it's just funny. To your point, it's a new community. And I know that wasn't the intent, that when you wrote this documentation about the new community of authors and supporting each other. But just like any other relationship, it gives you access to things unexpectedly. So it's kind of a funny vignette.
Yes. And also some people will just reach out to you because they read your book then, you know?
That's right.
And so you start to build the relationships. Also impact, hearing from readers that it worked, that something changed, that they were influenced by you, that they were touched by you, that you helped them in even some small way. That's ROI and can't really be measured. Just as you can't measure the confidence. So I threw confidence in here because the difference, the transformation when I see an author start to work with me and then come to the other side when they actually publish is so remarkable. I can't even tell you their confidence level, and then they own that. It's magic to me. It's magic to me.
Yeah. And is that the big reveal, is how it transforms you?
Yes, the ultimate ROI. Business growth, money, all of it, that will come. Again, there's a trade-off for how much of that you want. There's a trade-off based on how much of that you want. But the ultimate ROI is in the transformation that writing the book offers you.
And I would say the coolest unexpected ROI is that I have entered an industry where there is no competition. I only experienced that in the past, where one company's gain was another company's loss. And in authorship, when one reader reads your book, they love your book, they want to dig in deeper and read more books. So it's the ultimate collaborative platform. That's something I never anticipated and didn't even get until I started living it. And that's been a great ROI. I get goosebumps thinking of, I'm working with Ryan Pink right now. He's gonna be launching a book. He's just starting to work on it. So it's still a couple of years out. I can't wait for his book to launch. The Biology of Trauma, which was Dr. Amy Apigian's book, is in the same space of Ryan Pink's future book. And Ryan, he already gets it. He was going out of his mind supporting her, doing anything to support that book launch because he knows it also supports him. I think that's the coolest ROI. This is a true team effort of all authors. We can all do our own unique thing, but the more people get engaged in the art, the more people want the art. Next week, we're going to talk about how successful authors handle the nerves. Mm-hmm. And they can get pretty big.
Yeah.
I want to give one little surprise before we wrap it up, because I promised this last week. We did something I think no author's ever done before when it comes to marketing tips. And what it is we recorded the audio in the studio when I was recording at Common Mood. We recorded on video me reading the entirety of the book. We put it on YouTube just in the last couple days, the entire 6.5 hours, full free download of The Money Habit. As of now, it has over 200 downloads. My favorite comment is, wow, this is unbelievable value. I've not finished yet, but so grateful for you to uploading this. Awesome recording concept too. It engages an audience in a new way. And I remember how this concept came about was seeing other people ripping off all the books and putting it out there illegally, effectively, or taking my audio and just putting it online and getting attribution for it. But the bigger thing was I looked at the history of Napster. If you remember that, the free download software, you can listen to any song you want. Napster helped artists get a whole new level of exposure because it could circulate in a way that was free. You didn't have to get onto radio stations or pay your way on. It was a new way to get exposure. So I've never seen an author put their entire audiobook online for free in a way like this, where it's recorded, it's them reading the book, people can watch and listen in on YouTube. I bet you it gets exposure to audiences that would never get access to it. And are those people going to pay? No, but they wouldn't have paid anyway to buy the book. But the big thing is now they have access to it for free. And there's some people that need this so badly that free is okay. But they'll also start talking about the book if it serves them. So it helps market the book. I think I'm really optimistic it could be a huge win.
There's some fiction authors that are self-published and in speculative fiction that do this type of thing. So, yeah, they use it as a marketing tool.
Okay, then I ain't the first to do it. I'm the first in the space that I know.
Yeah, for sure. And
be the second in this space.
But in fiction, that people are always surprised. It's so different. The fiction world and the nonfiction world, especially the thought leadership world. There's actually so many different. We should do an episode on that. It's just like
I would love to. I'd love to. I think we have a lot of fiction authors here, and it's an area that and I don't. It's so opaque for me.
What's interesting is that there's fiction, but then within fiction, it's like different neighborhoods. You think about nonfiction as a state, fiction as a state. If we just use our country as an analogy, but then within each of those states, there are different towns and neighborhoods, and they all have different kind of vibes and cultures and rules, and that's why it's so confusing to people when they try and get into the publishing, because what? You're using different words, you have different rules, but you're all publishing books. What's going on? And
okay, we got to do that.
That's why you need to listen to Don't Write That Book, because we're gonna just tell you.
The website is DWTBpodcast.com. Hey, email us at hello@DWTBpodcast.com. I mentioned earlier, I have an imprint at Page 2 called Simplified. If you're a entrepreneur author, meaning you're writing for entrepreneurs, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact us through that. AJ's prepared a large amount of materials for you that's totally downloadable for free. We should have also uploaded from last week by now. I referred to the 12-hour launch we did, and we have the briefing sheet that we prepared for ourselves internally, and that's available for you for free at DWTBpodcast.com. All right, let's all say it together. Don't write that book. Write the greatest book you can.